Okay, Chucky season 3, episode 3, Jennifer's Body. This was the craziest episode of the season thus far, and I'm very mixed on it. Um, right at the beginning, right at the beginning, we saw Tiffany and Jennifer get arrested, and the kid whose name I forgot already, Lexi's sister, Caroline. We see Caroline leave with Chucky doll, and Nika's there, and they're heading down the subway, and obviously Nika's in the wheelchair, so she can't go down the steps. But she's trying to get the doll, and Chucky, and she doesn't get the doll. They keep going. They get a cab, and I so wish it wasn't 2:43 in the morning, because I want to say the catchphrase the right way, but it's just so late. I'm not. They get in a cab, and it's driven by Kenan Thompson, and that's just like, okay, like wow. And so Chucky and Caroline are talking in the back of the cab, strategizing about the murder and everything. But it sounds like they're talking about strategizing something else. Arguably way worse. Especially if a child's involved. You understand what I mean? And Kenan Thompson's looking back like, y'all okay back there? And he's just like checking in on him. And then Chucky's going back, like insulting him every time. And then the conversation gets weirder and weirder. And so Kenan Thompson's like, okay, I gotta find a different cab. And then Chucky lets Kenan Thompson's seat back, and Kenan Thompson goes gangster. It's like, I'm from New York, I'll fuck you up. And Chucky shoves the umbrella down his throat and opens it. And of course I had to say the thing I had. It's like, Kenan, don't cuss out the dog. Kenan, just drive. Kenan. There he goes. And also, why? There. The biggest laugh usually, though, is for me from the episodes when they were in the cab and they're having this conversation, and Kenan Thompson's like, what are y'all talking about? And it's just like, it's nothing to like murder. And Kenan Thompson's like, the fuck? I was mid-drink at the time. I laughed so hard, all of it came out all over the place. Yeah. And now the rest. This episode is not only non-linear, but it takes place before the events of season 3. That I'm fine with. We already know why Chuck is doing what he's doing, and it's explained here. What I'm not fine with is it's non-linear. Now, I'm confused a lot of the time. Non-linear stories do not help that. It's like jumping back and forth through time, different dates, last year, this year, and finally, like, last episode, like, I'm not a big fan of that unless it's done right. I mean, done really, really right. But yeah, so it's a flashback, that was a flashback, Tiffany getting arrested and everything was a flashback, Kenan Thompson and all that, and, I will try my best to explain this. You see Lexi visit Tiffany in jail. I was like, what the fuck? That's not the partnership I want. And it's not, thankfully. Lexi's thrilled she's in jail, as she should be. And Tiffany somehow is wearing all this expensive jewelry and stilettos in jail. Okay. Maybe she must have got that special treatment because she's Jennifer Tilly. I don't know. But yeah, and Lexi just wants to know where her sister is. Okay. And Tiffany finally tells her that she's with Chucky, and Chucky took her. And then we cut, I think, back to Chucky and Caroline. It's mostly centered around them. And Caroline and Chucky, they, again, I'm mixed on all this, but the relationship I actually dig more than I do Chucky and Jake, or I mean, nearly right was Chucky and Andy, but it's different from every kid he's tried to like take over and manipulate, because he's arguably a step of him a lot of the time. Big examples when they're in the hotel room and yes, this. So last week we got a shock murder of the teacher. This week we see Chucky straight up murder Andy rather brutally. But it's revealed it's a dream sequence, because 2 back-to-back shocking with that, the fan base ain't ready for that. I was sitting there like, are they actually doing this? Are they really doing this? It was a dream sequence, okay. So we kind of got Andy, sort of. And Chucky wakes up to see hair on his pillow. He's like, what the fuck? That's literally what he says. And he looks in the book, Voodoo for Dummies, which Caroline's been reading the whole time. Okay, and by the way, that book is back. And it says, if you start to age, you get a new host. So he tries to put himself back towards the words. He's 8. He tries to transfer his soul into her body. And seeing him open her eyes, she's like, I could have told you it wasn't going to work. I read that back to her. She's like, I could have told you it wasn't going to work. I read that book front to back. And she's like, if you start to age, the book says you need to see a doctor. We will pen in that. Oh, we will pen in that. So, yeah. And Chucky, he like actually puts his hands behind his back, like, when he gets caught. It's a comical thing. But, yeah. And that's why Chucky looks a bit different. Like, he has crow's feet and everything. And the way his face looked different because he's put stuff on it, or she put stuff on it for him. Speaking of makeup, why is this 8-year-old girl wearing lipstick, like red lipstick, and the leather check? But why? Remember how I didn't like Lexi wearing it last episode? This girl's even younger. No. Anyway, so they go to this voodoo doctor. And credit where it's due. If you saw the first movie, you know that the voodoo doctor is a very largely outdated and mildly offensive stereotype. He's the magical Negro in the first movie. And Chucky's doing the, he gets the fucked up voodoo kid. I don't like any of that scene. Like the one part of the movie I don't like. This is the way around that. Because they can't revisit that for obvious reasons. So instead they go to an actual voodoo hospital. Just as dumb as it sounds. Even when I realized what they were doing, I'm like, okay. That's what, maybe that explains why nobody reacted when they called the name Charles Lee Ray. Like, nobody reacted. But no, yeah, they called him. You see a bunch of people sitting there, some girls on the phone. And he's like, I don't care if your mother died. Shred all that shit. Shred it now. And both Chucky and Caroline turn to her like, what? And the dude next to her turns to her too. They're like, what's in the box? And he's like, my ex-wife. It just starts moving rapidly. And I don't know. It gets something. So Chucky sees the doctor and he's in the gown. And it's like a regular doctor's appointment with he gets the hernia exam. Because remember, we do know for a fact Chucky's anatomically correct. So the doctor sticks Chucky's doll dick and like turn your head, cough twice. I'll never be ready for anything to do with Chucky's doll dick. I didn't show it this time, but like Chucky with the open leg and doctor's hand up there, I'm like, I was really sitting there like, really, is this better than the alternative? Is it? It is, but about that much, okay. And the doctor explains, and it's a white dude, by the way, an older white dude. Because again, you can't revisit what they did in the first movie. And he says that Chucky needs to, he says that Damballa has abandoned Chucky. Which explains Chucky's appearance and why he's starting to feel shit and everything. And to get Dumbledore's forgiveness, he needs some kind of evil even he has never even dealt with before. And initially, my first thought is probably yours. That's why it's in the White House. Not before one pit stop, one I could not have predicted. I understand Dom Mancini wants to do crossovers. He's been trying to do crossovers for decades. I get that. This was never the one. This was never one of the ones I would have chosen. It's like season 3 of Scream TV series. That was a what the fuck crossover fight, slasher fight. This was even more what the fuck, like, because Chucky's like evil, which he's like evil, which I've never seen, huh? Literally, the next scene is him and Caroline standing, and I'm not making this up, in front of the Amityville house. Now, on the Amityville side, I should be surprised, because last I checked, that house is in space somewhere in the movie universe. On the Chucky side, I'm very surprised. I would not, again, not a crossover I would have done myself, but I guess they're both supernatural. I thought that's what Chucky was going to do. Use the energy in it. No, they just go in there and murder everyone. Because if you know the story of Amityville, yeah. Chucky even says, eat your heart out. The dude that did the murders, I won't say his name. And then Caroline's like, who's that? Because she's 8. And Chucky gives her a history lesson. And recounts what went down in 1974. Look it up if you don't know. I was just sitting there like, what in the world? I was really like, is Pinhead next? But no. After that, then they go to the White House. And because that makes sense. The evil, even Chucky has never seen before. And Caroline's like, only 10 people have died here versus the other place. And Chucky's like, yeah, maybe. But this place is responsible for way more lost lives than Amityville is. Which, he ain't wrong. Also, as I said last week, that's just 10 that we know of. Like, no telling what the fuck was covered up in that house. Even back when it was the original White House. But, yeah. So, yeah, like, I get it. I'm going to try to go back to the other characters before we get to the ending. Actually, Jake and Devin are barely in this. They don't have their own solo things. Like, they're in court with Lex and everybody when Tiffany's in court. And I get that they had to do it. I even get that it was right there. I still didn't see it coming. When Nika was describing everything Tiffany did to her, but she left out the part where she made her girlfriend. With Tiffany sitting there making the googly eyes and waving and shit, and Nika's like no, but she's in between that face, like pissed off. She's trying not to lose it for obvious reason, and so yeah, they're all there while Nika's testifying, and of course she loses it. And she goes off and like, she made me do all of this. And then she made me watch Liar Liar repeatedly, which she did. It was good. It was right there. It was obvious. They did that. What, season 1? Season 1 or 2, they did that. And like Tiffany was always watching that movie. It was there, and they're in the courtroom. I get it. Jennifer Tilly's in that movie in a courtroom in a very memorable scene, which is always in my head playing. I didn't see it coming. And that's when the court gas. Not all the other fucked up stuff, the dismemberments, the murderings. Again, she left out the part where she was made her girlfriend. Like, no, watching Liar Liar on repeat. Really seems like child's play compared to everything else, but okay. Yeah, and then Devin and everybody else testifies, and Tiffany's found guilty, actually. She tried to go for the not guilty by reason of mental. Yeah, I thought she was legit, but no, she went there on purpose. So she told basically the truth, and surprise, surprise, nobody believed her. And she got sentenced on 108 counts of murder, and of course she gets the needle. She sentenced the needle. I don't know if they're gonna actually do that. But yeah, he's in jail. Yeah. And she goes off again when she's being taken away. She fires her lawyer. Not before telling her to find that Voodoo for Dummies book, then fires her again. Okay. Those scenes were, I guess, good for the laughs, but that's about it. Again, the teacher's in there too. Like, it just takes place in the past. So I was confused. Like, didn't she, like, right? Oh, non-linear in the past. Okay, confusing. Any more things of note before I get to the ending? Well, let me see. No. Okay, the ending. Oh, we see how Chucky got to the White House. He takes Caroline there. They're outside of it. And like I said earlier, to explain him everything. And then we see, like, the families at the cemetery. And, presumably at the service of the lost kid that they've been alluding to. Joseph. That's where Chucky gets the name. He's sitting there against the stone on the other side of it. And the young kid sees it, picks it up. Chucky says, "Hi, I'm Joseph." And at first they're going to take the dog, but then they see the way he's holding it, like, he had to smell like that in months. They let him keep it, but then when they go back to the White House, like, they have to get checked, because obviously it's like mom's purse. Like, yeah. So that's how the dog got in. And the scene where the Chucky has to send Caroline away, where? I don't know. It's not explained. Actually kind of touching. It was fucking weird, but yeah, it's very touching. You get this sense that Chucky might actually care for Caroline. Again, he has a whole list of people he wants to visit. A lot of these people he's tried to possess in the past. But Caroline's, he tried to possess her once, but no, like, there seems to be an actual relationship there. Not like when he was just straight up manipulating Jake and hitting him. No, there's none of that. Again, she was always ahead of him. And the scene where he has to send her away, man, it really is touching, cute even, because she wants to stay, but she obviously can't. And she's putting the makeup on Chucky to hide everything. And he's like, just 6 kills. That's why I've been counting the whole time. Every time you murder someone, just 6 kills, you'll see me again and all that. And then we'll go see your teacher. That's someone Caroline wants to murder. Okay. And then he mentions Glenn and Glenda. Look, you have my interest with the character. No, you don't, because he wouldn't did that again. Made a Billy Boy again. I don't care anymore. Unless you bring back Lachlan, I really don't. But yeah. And then Chucky says he's always been jealous of her father, presumably because he's grown close to Caroline. And I didn't mention before that the dude that plays Caroline and Lexi's father, the same dude from the same creepy, salty dude from Cult of Chucky, is in this season as well. A different character. And then the nun from last season, one of the nuns, she's back as the first lady. So Diamond City loves reusing actors. So yeah, I think, and it ends literally right where the first episode started, in the elevator and everything. So I like that. At least when prequels do that. I'm not generally a big fan of prequels, but when they wrap it up that nicely, I can't be mad. Yeah, it was just crazy ass episode of Chucky. Season 3, episode 3, Jennifer's Body. And yes, they do reference the title in court because she's Jennifer Tilly and she's a pretty well known body. And she's like, I'm just Tiffany inside Jennifer's body. Okay. Also, the opening was umbrellas. This is after Ken Thompson got murdered. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, like, after he got murdered, umbrellas in his throat, it says special guest appearance by Ken Thompson, like, right over his body. I'm like, and then it goes to the opening with the umbrellas. I thought for a second they was going to play Rihanna, because, like, I feel like they would have last year. If this was opening for last year, for last season, they would have. But no, they did play Rihanna, thankfully. Like, ain't going to go that far. They seem to be veering away from the camp for the most part, but it's still there, obviously. which is fine. Just don't do what you did last season, yeah. But I don't mind Kim. But we don't want to been too much. But yeah, that's all for Chucky. This episode. Shit, that's all I really have to say. Thank you for watching.